I'm Flemming Bo Jensen, this is the FUJIFILM GFX100S, and these are my initial impressions. I've had the GFX100S for a couple of days, and I really wanted to try it out at a live music gig. But of course it's all shut down due to the bloody pandemic, so I can't really test it at work yet. So these are just my initial impressions from kind of playing around with it and shooting it around, taking walks in my neighborhood. Let's go back to 2019, where we had wonderful live music events, and just as the GFX100 came out, I made a project where I took the GFX100 to two music festivals, Tinderbox Festival and Roskilde Festival, both in Denmark, and I was absolutely blown away by the image quality. Even at really high ISO, this beast of a sensor was just incredible. And it was fast enough to actually use as a documentary camera on stage. But my main problem with the original GFX100 is that it was really clunky. It's a big square box, and the viewfinder really sort of protrudes out from the back, and it doesn't hang well on my shoulder, which is where a camera is supposed to go when I work an entire day on tour or in a festival. So my wish at the time was, please take that sensor and put it into something smaller. So my first impression handling this camera is that it is so small and so light. It is unreal that we have now the 102 megapixel medium format sensor still with an image stabilizer in this body, which is 900 grams, and it's much more narrow as well. And it's just unbelievably compact. It's about the size of most normal DSLRs. And of course it's bigger than my X-T3, but it's not actually that much bigger. It's not that big, not like GFX100. The S model is actually small enough that I could easily use both of them simultaneously. I can have one hanging off each shoulder, or around the neck or whatever. It's carryable, it's portable, it's usable all day long at a festival, on a stage. The second thing about the body is that it has a super nice grip. This is just really, really lovely. It fits my hand really well, and it's very, very nice. And it does still weigh more, of course, especially the lenses weigh more than your FUJIFILM X system. And this means that the grip is still really important, because you still have to hold the camera and balance that weight. And I do feel that it's nicer with the smaller primes on. But even with the 35 to 64 zoom here, and it's still very usable. It's still very nice to hold because of this grip, and because it feels quite nicely balanced. This really does kind of turn it into, right now, much more of a documentary camera for me. There's some changes in the button assignments. There's no D-pad anymore. There is a really nice joystick instead. And while my muscle memory at the beginning was constantly doing this, it's really not a big thing because the joystick works so well and it essentially does exactly the same thing. So I don't really miss the D-pad, it's fine. At the top we still have the PSAM wheel, which is a classic from all the DSLRs and SLRs. I don't really understand why we have this. I think it's kind of a waste of a wheel, but never mind. You just stick it to aperture or manual, whatever you use, and leave it there. That's what I do anyway. And then we have this top plate screen, which, to be honest, I still have no idea what to use for. It's just not something that in my work I would ever use. I have no idea what it's there for. Please enlighten me in the comments. I'm sure it's there for a good reason. I'm sure for some job, studio, whatever. It's really great. I just have zero clue what to use it for. So my wish would be that a model of this came out that completely inherited the entire FUJIFILM X ecosystem. And by that I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if we had the proper FUJIFILM dials up here for ISO, shutter speed, and EV, entirely manually operatable. But I mean, it's just a little bit of muscle memory. It works because there are some really nice wheels here. So you have ISO out here and you have the EV here. If you want, you can assign them to anything, but there are two nice wheels here, and they're really, really nice and easy to get to. The shutter sound, super, super nice. It's really, really quiet. There you go. you have the super awesome tilt screen at the back. Good old classic, works, don't ever change it. I think that's pretty much it for my initial impressions of the actual body. Picture quality is amazing. It is unreal, but you already know that. It's the 102 megapixel sensor, same as the original GFX100, and it is just insane. It's just impossible to resist the whole zooming into details, because this literally sees so much better than my old eyes do. And you're capturing all these details, even at a concert, through shitload of haze, and it's really dark, and I'm shooting it, and it's kind of, I can't see much myself, but the clarity and the details is just mind-blowing. Plus the colors and everything, it's just, even at high ISO, is so incredibly good that it's really addictive. Once I get my hand on one of these, I'm gonna use it for nothing but wide angle, because that's for me where it really shines, and to capture these wide angle shots in places where it's really dark, it's really hazy, and that means just everything gets very muddy. So you're losing details, and you're at a high ISOs, you're losing dynamic range. So you're asking a lot of the APS-C sensor in the X-T3. Now it does a great job, but it's just when you capture it with this, the insane scenes you can make. And I love wide angle, I love panoramas. I took a couple of panoramas around the neighborhood because I just love the panorama crop mode that's in these cameras, and I really wish all the Fujifilm cameras had this crop mode. So that's basically all I've been doing with this for now, just to get a little feel of it. And all I can say is I absolutely cannot wait for bloody pandemic to be over, live music industry coming back. I cannot wait to be on stage with 102 megapixels in this GFX100S and actually try it out, you know, at an actual gig. And that's where I will see how does it really perform a full day's work that I have to then load and deliver to a client. How does it work? How does it feel? How does it perform? Can't wait to tell you about that. Can't wait to try it out. And until then, be safe. See you soon.